Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So, Angus and I got a question last week about dealing with children's low moods. And we can speak to this as fellow students on the journey, would you say? This is not
I would
some,
say we have quite the curriculum.
we have quite the curriculum. This is not something that we have mastered. It is something, though, that we do have our experience with that we can speak to, and hopefully that's helpful to you. So, sending everyone love. Hi, Jeannie. Hey, Julie. Wow, good to see everyone. Mary. Wow, everyone's jumping on. Let's go.
Or what is the question?
Dealing with children's low
Oh,
moods.
it's
How
just
to?
as general as that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess the thing that sprung to mind for me in terms of dealing with children, I don't know at what point they stop becoming
We could
children.
go children all the way to young adults. They're still
Okay.
children to
Let's
us.
go into the realm of young adults. Is that I think, well, what occurs to me to say is that if in the face of our child, young adults, low mood, we are having any kind of difficulty with that in terms of we're getting into the realms of judgment with that, I think that would probably be an indicator that we're kind of in a low mood around our child's low mood. And that's perhaps something to look at for ourselves. And I think that, well, speaking for myself, I think that I have had experiences where I have encountered people in general in low moods, and certainly my children would get into low moods, as do we all. And then I find myself getting into judgment around that. And as soon as I've entered into the realm of judgment, basically my mood has dropped, and I've gone into that dance with them in a sense. So for me, the golden rule is to always, well, first and foremost, see that indicator of when I fall out of, being in well-being and get into a low mood. But just to recognize that the best way that I can show up for them is to somehow get to a place of compassion and see their suffering. Because as I say, if I get into the realm of judgment, I'm doing both them and myself a complete disservice. And it can be a total blind spot, and it can be really tricky at times. But it's kind of like that's the direction that I'm looking in, and I imagine I'll spend the rest of my life hopefully looking in that direction and be more cognizant of where my state of mind is, rather than get too preoccupied with the other person's state of mind. And as I say, for me, having those optics allows me to look in a better direction for myself and then show up for them, ideally in a place of compassion.
I would say the same, I would say, yes, that's exactly the same in terms of myself. And I think with kids, because we love them so much, it can be easy to fall into judgment because we want to have them not suffer. We don't want them suffering. And it doesn't look like judgment. It looks like, oh, that's my compassion. That's me loving my child. But anytime that we're looking at life as if it should be different than what it is in the moment, we're in judgment. So it's not just when we're angry, that happens too, but whenever we see life in the moment as this is not how it should be, that's judgment, and that creates suffering. There's a Byron Katie quote that I love. It's, what is it? It's like, when you fight with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. So it's kind of what Angus is pointing to in terms of our state of mind, being able to recognize that if we're feeling internal pressure, internal discomfort within ourselves, and that's a reflection of how we're relating to our own thoughts. And it's really got nothing to do with our kid's low mood or any other person's low mood. And that when we're more settled, when we're more connected with our true nature and who we are, it's so much easier to see the wisdom in our children, to kind of accept them where they're at, doing the best that they can, but also to see their health at play. And I think that sometimes as a parent, I'll speak for myself, it's been hard for me to recognize that my kids do have wisdom unfolding inside of themselves when they're in a low mood, or when they do something that seems like, oh my goodness, how could you do that? What were you thinking? So it's really, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. In terms of what you're saying about optics, it's really important, I think, to be able to see their innate health independent of what mood they're in, to see their essence and to know that that's there, and that the ups and downs of their mood and their psychology and their behavior, that's not really what you want to focus on, because that's going to be all over the place. It's all over the place for all of us. But when you're able to see beyond that to who they really are and know that they're going to come back to that, we all do, then it's so much easier to navigate, in my experience as a parent.
Yeah, they will all settle. That's part of our design. We're designed in such a way that we will come back down to earth. We will restore equilibrium. And it's just trusting that, they have that as at their disposal just as much as we do. And there will be times maybe it takes longer, but it's really, we have to be patient with that.
Yeah. And Stephanie's saying maybe not compassion, but pity is how I go about it. And that's judgment. Yeah, that's absolutely right. When we're feeling pity, that's us judging the situation, judging the circumstance, or judging our child, and being able to see that that's what it is what is the beginning of setting ourselves free from that. Because then we're not going to just identify with those thoughts and run with them as like, oh, this pity thinking is what I want to drive my behavior right now. As soon as we have more perspective on that and recognize like, oh, I'm in judgment, I'm in fear. I mean, usually that's what's going on when it's our kids, is we're in some kind of fear that they're not going to be okay. And that can happen from really minor situations to much more major situations. And the truth is, every single person is always doing the best that they can, ourselves included. And so compassion for our children, compassion for ourselves, and being able to listen deeply to our own wisdom, listen deeply to that spiritual essence that is you, will help you to see that spiritual essence that is your child, and to feel the oneness. One of the things that Angus and I say to each other jokingly, like when I'm able to get away with it, when he's in judgment or I'm in judgment, we'll say, oh, you've gone into separation.
That's right.
Not seeing the oneness.
That's our new term. Used to be, oh, you're in a lowy.
Now it's like, oh yeah.
No, but I think that's really cool to look at it in those terms. Yeah, we have gone into separation. We've gone into our separate selves. Our ego is really leading the charge. And when we're in a poor state of mind, the ego will go looking things that line up with that state of mind, and it never looks particularly pretty. So it's just mistrusting what can come up in that state of mind, and what the ego and the intellect will do to be combative, to combat the situation and get back to well-being misguidedly.
And the learning curve is that when we're really in it, when we're really reactive, is that we don't see that at all. It looks invisible to us, and what we see looks so real and so compelling and so true. So it's kind of like being able to not trust what you're seeing, to really check inside in terms of what your emotional experience is, and recognize that that doesn't lie to you. Like if you're upset and angry and it looks justified and right, you don't trust the justified and right. You recognize you're upset and angry, and that's that's the tip off that, oh, you're caught up in your ego's point of view, you're caught up in judgment. And that, to me, that's one of my biggest learning curves. But each time I get caught up, I know that I get better for the next time, that it doesn't trick me as easily the next time going in.
Yeah. I was thinking, I want to be looking not looking in the direction of becoming the Incredible Hulk, coming back to David Banner. If David Banner is my well-being, and the Incredible Hulk is where I'll go if I allow my ego to hold the reins.
Yeah. Oh, Stephanie said another comment. I feel that calling states of mind low and high is labeling. Yeah, it is labeling. Of course, it's a label, but in terms of our inner experience, we can recognize when we're closer to our natural state of love and when we're further away from it. So whatever is an experiential understanding for you, so we're using those labels, but it doesn't matter what the labels are. It's just being able to know what your reference point is for recognizing when are you closer to that natural state of love that's your essence and your true nature, and when are you further away from it. And I think we all have that inner compass that lets us know. We might not want to look in the moment, but I think if we do look, we're going to know where we're at. And ultimately, the further we are from our natural state of love and compassion, the experience of who we are, the less clear we are, the more identified we are with all of our thoughts that create an experience of separation from our source. And the further we get down that rabbit hole, the more we suffer, and the more likely we are to add on to the suffering of another person. So it's really finding out what that compass point is for you on an experiential level, not what the label is, but how do you know for yourself, and what's your learning curve look like to help you not identify with those thoughts that take you into further suffering, that aren't who you are, that aren't truth, and just, figure out what that looks like for yourself.
Yeah, I don't really get that, because really, as human, I get what you're saying, but the idea of giving labels, I think as human beings, we're label making machines. That's the nature of the conceptual mind. We're going to give labels. We're going to put form on things. That's how we roll in the world.
Yeah, well, that's the best that we can do.
That's the machinery.
That's the best that we can do. And it's like the truth is that whatever our psychology is doing, it's coming from the same source, whether we're in a good mood, whether we're in a bad mood, whether we're in a nice emotional state or not, it's all coming from the same spiritual energy. So it doesn't, I think for me, that shrinks it all down to size. So I'm less, obviously I enjoy my good feelings and my good moods, but I'm much less bothered or concerned if I'm not in that feeling state, because feelings are always going to go up and down. That's the nature of feelings. But there is an experience of who we are that is beyond our thoughts and feelings. And that's what Angus and I are pointing to. That's what we're pointing to in terms of our well-being. And that's what's inside of every single one of us. So we're not saying, look at your emotional state and try to fix that or change that or manage that. We're saying, look at it in the full context of who you are in terms of the full spiritual nature of who you are, and to look beyond your thoughts and feelings, because that's not who you are. That's not who we are. We have them. That's our experience as human beings. But our true nature is a spiritual essence. And to look to that, that's the compass point. And there is, I'll say the word feeling because that's what I use. There's a feeling within me that's an experience that lets me know when I'm closer to that and when I'm further away from that.
Yeah, I have to go.
Okay. All right. Angus has got to run. He's got to work. All right, then. So I know that there's some questions. We'll answer them in the comments section. But thanks so much for tuning in, sending everyone love, and have a great weekend.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.